All right, everybody, welcome back. We are diving into some pretty interesting stuff in South African politics today.
Definitely a lot to unpack.
Yeah, especially with this weird thing going on between the African National Congress,
Yeah.
the ANC, and the SACP,
Yeah.
the South African Communist Party.
Yeah.
It's like they're allies, but not really.
Yeah.
Or at least that's what it seems like with this whole, decision by the SACP to go it alone in the local elections.
Right. And that's exactly what we're going to try to dig into today is what's going on here. Is this a total split? Are they breaking up? Or is this just some strategic maneuvering?
Yeah, because it's not as simple as just saying, oh, they're done with each other.
Right.
Right. It's way more complicated and a lot more interesting than that.
For sure.
To me, it almost feels like, when you've got, you got two roommates and they're both running for different positions in like student government.
Okay.
They're still friends, right? They're still living together broadly on the same page.
Right.
But they're competing for influence in this one specific area.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So to really get into the weeds here, we're going to be looking at a recent speech by Solly Mapaila.
Okay.
He's the general secretary of the SACP.
Right.
And he's been pretty upfront about their reasons for wanting to kind of, do their own thing.
Yeah, to really understand this whole situation, though, I think it's important to remember just how long the ANC and the SACP have been working together.
Right, like this isn't some new alliance.
Right, exactly. This goes way back to the fight against apartheid. It was a really powerful partnership.
Super powerful.
And it shaped South African politics, for decades now.
Absolutely.
So it's not something to just kind of dismiss.
Right.
But that said, they are distinct organizations.
Oh, for sure.
They have their own histories and their own ways of doing things.
And it definitely seems like some of those differences are coming to a head right now.
Yeah, it's getting interesting.
Especially with Mapaila talking about, the arrogance of political power and all that.
Yeah, some strong words.
Yeah. And he's clearly frustrated, saying that the SACP's been sidelined and that the ANC isn't really addressing some pretty major problems.
And when you look at the issues Mapaila brings up, it really highlights how deep this goes.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, he's not just talking about abstract political theory.
Yeah.
He's talking about the ANC's handling of the energy crisis, for example.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that's affecting everyone in South Africa on a daily basis.
Totally.
And the unemployment rates, the poverty. He's basically saying that the ANC's lost touch with the working class, the people that the SACP is supposed to be representing.
That makes sense. And all that really gets to the heart of why these local elections are such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because at the local level, you're dealing with the day-to-day stuff, right?
Right.
Like garbage collection and housing and, making sure the lights stay on.
Absolutely. It's the stuff that directly impacts people's lives.
And the SACP seems to be saying, look, we can actually get things done if we're not tied to the ANC's, internal drama.
Exactly. They're arguing that they can be more effective on their own.
And this whole proportionality thing that Mapaila keeps talking about,
Right.
that ties into all this too, right?
Yeah. So proportionality, it might sound a little bit academic.
It kind of does.
But basically, what he's getting at is that the SACP feels like their influence within the alliance
Okay.
doesn't really match the amount of support they have out in the country or the work they do. So it's about having a bigger say, basically.
Having a bigger say.
Yeah, a more proportional voice.
Which is interesting, though, because they're making it very clear that this isn't about the national elections, right?
Right.
They're still backing the ANC at that level.
That's right.
It's kind of like, they can agree on, foreign policy or whatever.
Sure.
But they're fighting over who takes out the trash.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
a very, targeted strategy.
Yeah.
Focusing on local power.
But then there's this other element that Mapaila talks about, which I think is super interesting, which is this idea of ideological purification.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
It makes me think that there's more to this than just wanting a bigger say in local politics.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're trying to, redefine what it means to be a communist party in South Africa today.
Right. They want to draw a clear distinction between themselves and the ANC.
Yeah, and maybe even, kind of go back to their roots a bit.
Yeah, that's what makes it so fascinating. It's not just about winning elections. It's about, principles and ideology and all that.
Right. And how do you even do that, right?
Yeah.
What does ideological purification actually look like in the real world?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to have to see how it plays out in their campaigns, what policies they focus on, how they present themselves to voters.
And it makes you wonder, Is this something that's happening more broadly?
Oh, for sure.
Like, are other left-wing parties around the world going through the same kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Trying to figure out how to adapt to, like, the 21st century and all its problems.
Right. You've got climate change, you've got growing inequality and all these global issues.
Right. And they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we address these things while still staying true to, the core beliefs of socialism or whatever?
It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, big time. And for the SACP, it's a risky move, right?
Yeah,
Because there's a chance they alienate some voters.
definitely.
Or even split the left and end up weakening their position.
There's always that risk, but it could also pay off.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can successfully carve out their own space and really connect with voters, it could give them a much stronger voice.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of uncertainty, a lot of potential for things to go in different directions.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Like, what does this all mean for the future of the South African left?
Yeah. Big questions, no easy answers.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
For sure. All right, well, we're going to leave it there for today. But thank you all for tuning in to this deep dive on, well, a very complex and fascinating political situation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. And to everyone listening, keep diving deeper into the stuff that matters to you. And we'll be back soon with another exploration.
Until next time.
See you later.